The time is 2:34 p.m., May 3rd, 2020, in the great state of Texas. My name is Mickey, and welcome to another episode of the Backyard Bullshit Podcast, Coronavirus Edition. I'm joined by Cool Hand, and after a multi-episode unintentional hiatus, Dealer.
Yeah, sorry guys, I got stuck in North Korea's airport.
Welcome back, Dealer.
I'm very thankful our glorious leader, Kim Jong, let me out. You know, he will recover. But it's good to be back. It's good to be back in the USA.
Yes, Kim Jong-un, definitely not a body double up there. Well,
No.
We're hanging out with Dennis Rodman, too.
Oh, yeah, Dennis Rodman was there. We got to see great things. All of them was provided by North Korea. No sad stories. All sunshine, 100% of the time.
I thought it was only happiness and rainbows there. So.
Yeah, well, it's like Kansas, but better.
like Kansas, but better. That is apparently our view on North Korea. And well, due to the coronavirus, there aren't any live sports going on right now, which is unfortunate. So we decided it'd be fun if we could discuss some fun topics we've been wanting to discuss on the show. But before that, we actually did have a sports-related thing happen, and that is the NFL draft. And so, we'd first like to go over who got the worst picks, who made some good picks, and who just flat out got hoodwinked. And we'll start with our residential Cleveland Browns fan, Cool Hand. Cool Hand, what is your assessment of the NFL draft?
So what I thought about the draft was I thought it was a great draft. It was really nice to get away from the COVID a little bit, even though that's all they talked about during the draft. But I also thought because you didn't have all the other guys in the room, the coaches and the scouts and all these other guys, in the ears, teams went by their boards. And instead of having a guy who's like, no, I really, really want this guy. I think he's great. You didn't have much of that this year. They stuck to their boards and got things that they needed. So I think this year, more so than any other year, I think was the highest per team evaluations I've ever get. The most A's, B's, that kind of stuff. A lot of times you'll get some F's, D's, stuff like that. There were only a very few of those this year. So that was kind of nice. It was also, like I said, it was fun to get away from the COVID stuff a little bit, something that was actually sports related, to give you something to talk about. There were a couple pretty awful drafts, but for the most part, I'd say top to bottom, most teams did pretty well getting the guys.
All right. And that's the first salvo from Cool Hand. Dealer, do you have anything to say on the draft before we get into the specifics?
I don't know. I like how they incorporated the fans in the draft with the audio, and the video call. That was kind of creative. It's really is a weird time. People like the celebration of the draft and all the hype and everything, and this still kept fans involved. I think the fans were kind of reminiscent of the fan attitude. They went for super fans mostly in the background, which made it more exciting. It also made it really more terrible to look at whenever you realize some of the teams have really, really bad colors. Seahawks. But other than that, it was a pretty good draft online. I was pretty proud of it.
Alrighty, well, the draft, I just, after a while though, I kind of felt bad for Roger Goodell, even though as a football fan, we're not supposed to do that under any circumstances. So, let's just dive right into the individual picks of the teams we want to discuss. Cool Hand, I imagine you want to talk about the Cleveland Browns.
Yes. Well, I thought the Browns had a good draft. I don't think they had the best draft, but I thought they went out and they filled a lot of positions in need. One thing the Browns really need to do this draft was add some quality depth. They spent a lot of money this off season, and so they needed to bring in some cheap depth. And I think they really did a good job of that. They filled a lot of holes, a lot of depth needs, and got the starting tackle that they really need.
All right. Well, a positive score from Cool Hand. Um, Dealer, do you have anything to say about the way your Chicago Bears conducted their draft this year, or are there other teams you'd like to discuss?
Yeah, I really think that the Bears went from a strategy of draft with your strength because they were behind the eight ball in this one, right? I know that this one was a lot of people said like, hey, if you're not a premium spot, you're not going to get a good quarterback, right? And I feel like it sounds like a broken record, but this year it did feel like there weren't that many good QBs, and the talent dropped off really quickly. And that's huge for a team that doesn't have a first round draft pick like the Bears. So going into that, the Bears' strategy is apparent now that they were going to say, let's draft from an area that we have stock in and trade for that later. That makes sense because we know the Bears are willing to trade. We knew that was going to happen, right? They showed with the Vegas Raiders that they were willing to make their trades when it was Oakland. And I could see them moving some of the solid picks that they already have. Speaking of Vegas, I was impressed that they had an issue with their offense, and they fully committed to it. They wanted to 100% better the position. You know, whenever you have 5 picks in the top 100 and your first 3 are the exact same position, that's commitment. That means you want to get better there. So I was impressed by that.
All right.
It was a very Al Davis kind of draft, but he's tall and he's fast.
Yeah, it was kind of old school, but I would rate them. You know, I'd give them a B. I would give them a B.
Yeah, that's what NFL.com has him as well.
Nice.
Well, both positive grades from the residential fans here. And, well, it was inevitable, but we got to talk about them Cowboys. So, this is the first time the Dallas Cowboys took a wide receiver in the first round of the draft since Des Bryant back in 2010 or 11. It's one of those years, with CeeDee Lamb as the wide receiver pick. And while people are saying, oh, they should have taken the best safety because he was still on the board. And while I sort of agree with that, I mean, this is just making an already strong offense even stronger. So now they just need a quarterback who can throw to CeeDee Lamb, and then the rest of the Dallas's picks were about the defense, which is something they desperately needed. The only thing I'll say about them is that I wish they could have done is that they took a center in the 4th round, and honestly, with the Cowboys, Travis Frederick retiring suddenly, I think that is a much bigger hole that they need to fill, and waiting until the 4th round might cost them. But hey, who knows? Maybe. What's up?
The one thing I'll say about that, I thought that was a great pick by the Cowboys. I have a 2nd round grade on him, so going into the draft. So I thought that was a heck of a steal for them. He had a bad senior year, but his junior year was off the charts. So I think they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I mean, going into this season, I feel like the Cowboys are going to have a similar problem to the Green Bay Packers these last few years, where the Cowboys' best chance to defeat a team is to just outscore them, not to necessarily get defensive stops. But I'm sure a certain former member of this podcast who is a Green Bay Packers fan would disagree with that. So, and Dealer, you may or may not know who I'm referring to. So,
they had a different draft. I think a lot of people were very upset with the way that the Green Bay Packers went about their business. I think that it was.
I gave them the worst grade. I gave them the worst grade of anybody in this draft.
It doesn't really make sense that you would trade up whenever you have Aaron Rodgers, who went to the playoffs last season. If you said Aaron Rodgers is getting old and he didn't make the playoffs, he's slowing down, that's why we did the draft pick, that makes sense. It doesn't make sense why you would go out there for a premium quarterback when you have. I'm sorry, Aaron Rodgers is still a premium quarterback. Any quarterback that gets you that deep, one win away from the Super Bowl appearance, that's a premium quarterback. And Aaron Rodgers deserves the title as premium quarterback going into the season. So you have a premium quarterback, but you traded up for one? That doesn't make sense.
Well, and he's going to be 3 years away, and it's not like they barely snuck into the playoffs. I mean, they were this number 2 seed. It was just, I'm not sure what they were doing. I'm not sure they knew what they were doing because they didn't in the deepest wide receiver draft of all time, and you desperately need a wide receiver. They didn't get one, not a damn one. Like, how is that even possible? That the one position you really need, and it's the deepest for that, you don't get any of them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Mike McCarthy might have been better getting out of Green Bay than Aaron Rodgers basically getting him fired. Because even getting a running back in the second round, A.J. Dillon's a great player. I think he's going to have a fantastic career. But you don't need him. They already have 2 quality running backs on their roster, and you could have still got an elite wide receiver at that pick.
I'm right there with you.
It almost looked like they're like, screw, we're just going to go into tear down mode now.
Blow it up.
Yes, this is not the year to blow up your team and start the rebuild, but no, this sounds like the Green Bay front office sees the writing on the wall with Rodgers, which is as Dealer pointed out, very confusing.
It's a $50 million salary cap hit to cut him or trade him. So I just don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
As a Cleveland Browns fan, as someone who watched the Browns just make terrible decisions for years, I can appreciate what the Packers have done. They have taken the baton. As people who I understand what they're doing the least.
All right, what could turn it around, though? If they flip him before the season begins?
No, he's not going anywhere. They own too much. They'd have too much dead cap. Really, the only thing that will save him is if Aaron Rodgers gets hurt.
Okay.
If he gets hurt,
so you're thinking they pick. So even if you're thinking there's no way they can move Love.
I mean, if they wanted to, they could trade him and get a couple first-round picks. That I know for sure. The problem is, the question is not other teams wanting him. The question is, you just can't have $50 million in dead cap space unless you're really trying to start a rebuild. Because that means you won't be able to sign free agents next year at all.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know.
If you didn't have that over his head, I'd say he'd be gone already, to be honest. But I think they might have even traded him draft.
Yeah.
But they just owe so much in dead cap. You just can't put your team in that sort of a bind because you also have to meet a floor as well. So,
yep, you do.
Well, speaking of things that one team wants and that another team gets, let's talk about teams that got hoodwinked this NFL draft. Specifically, teams that were really wanting a player, but then another team earlier in the draft said, "Nah, fam, we're taking this guy." And the top team that sticks out to me in this is the Philadelphia Eagles because they really wanted CeeDee Lamb, and the Cowboys took him instead. But Dealer, Cool Hand, who are some teams that you specifically think got hoodwinked in this draft?
Well, I'm just going to go with the Texans. They didn't necessarily get hoodwinked in the draft itself, but with all the trades that were surrounding the draft with DeAndre Hopkins and all that stuff, they got taken to the cleaners by the Cardinals.
Yeah, the Houston, they had. I think they were taking L's before the draft even began. So
Yeah,
that was the
they had shot themselves in the foot. I do like their second round pick. I thought that was a good pick for them, but other than that, they just kind of punted almost on this draft.
Well,
Like,
and it's not like they really, like, struck out. They hit a lot of singles. A lot of people who on their team, they needed to, like, coach up. There's no one
right.
out there that's gonna, ready on the field in this pro level right now. They got a few people you
And
could say, all right, you could turn into something. So maybe that is a good draft at the end of it all. But with a draft, you like to see one player that can step on the field right away, and that's just not there with the Houston Texans picks.
yeah, maybe Blacklock, the defensive tackle, gets quite a bit of playing time, but maybe as a rotational defensive tackle. But that's about it. Everybody else it might be a struggle just to make the roster. Oh, Billy boy, oh Bob.
Yeah, the Texans are in a difficult position with Bill O'Brien calling the shots. And speaking of calling the shots, what do y'all think about... We previously discussed how Green Bay drafted a quarterback, which surprised a lot of people. But what about the Philadelphia Eagles drafting Jalen Hurts later in the draft? A lot of Eagles fans are upset by this move. What do y'all think?
I mean, if I'm an Eagles fan, I'm probably not happy. Okay. However, they did get some other quality late in the draft. Had they not drafted Jalen Reagor in the first round, too, I think that would have helped them. But the good thing about Jalen Hurts is, for one, Carson Wentz is freaking glass, so it's not if, but when he gets hurt. And two, you can kind of use him like Taysom Hill, line him up in the slot, kind of running him as a running back, just kind of, you do a lot of things with him. You can mix it up a little bit. That's why I wouldn't mind the Jalen Hurts draft as much as the Love draft pick. Because that guy's not going to play for you. He's not going to do anything else for you. I'm sure he could probably do it, but Love is basically Colin Kaepernick. Whereas Jalen Hurts is more like Case Keenum. And so he'll hold a clipboard for the rest of his life, and he'll be a quality backup quarterback. He'll never be a starter. But with Carson Wentz being glassed, I don't necessarily blame them for bringing in a guy that was probably the most NFL rip other than Joe Burrow.
I agree with that sentiment. I feel like the Eagles are hoping for a Terry Bridgewater situation where they have a solid QB ready to go and to lead the team to some victories when Carson Wentz gets hurt. Because, like you said, it's not a matter of if. So I think that's the mindset the Eagles have, but we'll see if that actually pans out. So, cool hand and dealer.
I'm not sure you couldn't have gotten him in the third round. That's the only thing I'll say about it. Because I think they could have got him in the third round and used that second round pick on something. But I'm not as against that pick as I would be the look.
It's definitely possible, definitely possible. Well, cool hand and dealer, are there any closing thoughts you have on the NFL draft before we move on to the NFL's offseason? Well, with the NFL draft out of the way, there has been some moves before and after the draft involving the NFL's offseason. I'm sure we should probably talk about this one first, and that is the Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski going to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do y'all think about this move?
Well, I think, it's very typical of someone from the Northeast. Whenever they get old and need to retire, they move south to Florida. So that's not really shocking there. I kind of like it because it's interesting because it shocks the football world, right? There's like this whole predetermined where the stars go, where who the bigger teams are, that kind of whole thing, right? But Tampa isn't really the attraction point a lot of the times, right? And I think that this was an interesting point, but Tampa, realistically, Gronk isn't a scary guy this year. They went by the nursing home and said, "Who wants to play?" And this old guy goes, "Hey, who's playing?" And they go, "We got your best friend." He goes, "Oh, okay, I'll get my crobble." And this dude gets his fucking like cane and walker and everything and hobbles on out there. I'll play football. And so, Grandpa's going to do a good job for them, but I think like he could be very quick to injury prone. And I think that if you see a subpar season from him, it's not going to shock me at all.
I do think Thomas Brady is done. But it does show how much people really hate playing for Bill Belichick. Because, obviously Brady left and went there, but also Gronk, came out of retirement. Like, oh, you're going to trade me to the Buccaneers? All right, yeah, I'm in. He was doing wrestling at the time, which I know is something he truly enjoyed. So for him to leave that and come back means he really, really couldn't stand Bill Belichick. But it's gonna be nice to see. It was always been the chicken or the egg. Is it Brady or Belichick? And we're gonna kind of find out a little bit more this year. Now I do think Tom Brady is done, physically, but the guy that owns the Tampa Bay Buccaneers also owns Manchester United. And so some of this, I think, is definitely a PR move for sure. Sell some jerseys, those kind of things, kind of improve the popularity of the team. But I also have a feeling that he may try to bring in Tom Brady to be a partner with Manchester United.
Oh, interesting.
So I think this also might be a business move.
I could see it being an attraction point for getting a high name in free agency, say, or trade, whatever. Because saying we have Brady and Gronk could be a more of an attraction point now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, it put Tampa kind of back on the map because they arguably had the best defense of all time when they won the Super Bowl. But since then, they've kind of been a joke. And with the Jameis Winston things, he's a 30-30 guy, man. 30 touchdowns, 30 picks. They haven't been able to get any traction going since those great teams of the early 2000s.
Yeah.
And so this is a PR move. Even if they are awful, even if Tom Brady gets hurt day 2, they've sold so many jerseys. They've created so much hype for the Buccaneers. I mean, when was the last time you can remember it's like, oh, I can't wait to watch a Buccaneers game?
You gotta be fucking kidding me.
Like never. So, all eyes are going to be on him. They're going to be on national TV, I'm sure, a ton. Especially since he's playing in the same division with Drew Brees and Matt Ryan.
Yeah.
Plus, he's going to have some real targets. The Buccaneers went out this offseason between the draft and signing people, went out and got him offensive line. Got him a running back. We'll see. This is the most talent that Tom Brady's ever had around him.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it'll be interesting to see. Are they going to be the best team in Florida? What do you think?
The Dolphins are still a year or two away from being any good. I think they had a really good offseason, the Dolphins, but a lot of their talent is young, inexperienced. It's going to take a couple of years for them to develop. I mean, hell, Tua may not even play this year.
Okay. So you rate
Jacksonville. And while I actually like Jacksonville's draft, Gardner Minshew is their starting quarterback this year.
Who?
So, yeah. That's all that needs to be said about that.
Oh, did you say Goodwill Old Shoe? Ah, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Who? I was some
I
random
really.
answer. Ah, yeah, that guy. He's real good.
I thought, yeah. Meddling with mediocrity. Let's do it again. Yeah, no, I think that they are the best team in Florida. I agree.
It's just incredibly fitting that Uncle Rico would play for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
He sure does. He sure does. Mustache in sports right now, baby.
Well, that's all for Tom Brady talk. And in terms of post-draft moves, the Cincinnati Bengals released Andy Dalton, a.k.a. the Red Rifle, from his job in Cincinnati after they drafted Joe Burrow, because we all saw this coming. But in more recent news, Andy Dalton is now a Dallas Cowboy on a 1-year, $7 million deal, with 3 of it being guaranteed. Now, I'm going to give my...
It's a $3 million deal with $4 million incentives. But
was that the language of it?
yeah, that's the specifics. So he probably won't reach that $7 million unless Dak gets hurt or doesn't bother to show up.
It's entirely possible. So, as the resident Cowboys fan on the podcast, this move, it makes sense. I feel like Andy Dalton is going to be there as more of a mentor figure to our young quarterback core than an actual replacement for Dak. A lot of people online are saying, "Oh, this is leverage against Dak Prescott for his deal," and I'm not 100% buying that, because if they truly did want Andy Dalton as leverage, they would have offered him more money in a multi-year contract. They didn't.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. They brought him in because you just can't have Cooper Rush as your backup quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Andy Dalton will be making about $0.9 million more than Cooper Rush, who's expected to make $2.1 million this year. And
Cooper Rush is going to spend this next season sitting on his couch. But that's what this move really means. They're going to end up cutting Cooper Rush.
I mean, hey, if I got paid $2.1 million to sit on the goddamn sideline, I'd take that in a heartbeat. So, what are we calling Andy Dalton now? The blue rifle, the silver bullet. What's his new nickname?
I think it remains. I think his hair dictates it.
Yeah, it's good. You gotta stick with the hair, brother. That was some fire hair.
Yeah.
Like, it looks like his head's on fire.
He plays like it too.
The only thing, though, is
I've been cheering against that guy for a long, long time. So he played against one of my rival high school. He played at one of my rival high schools, and then he played for TCU, and then he played for the Bengals in the same division. I've been cheering against that guy for a long, long time.
well, while
I think it's a good move. I really do. I think that you're shoring up your backup, and maybe we are seeing some different shades of change. You did just get a young stud of a quarterback. Wouldn't be that bad to put him in the game every once in a while.
Yes, I feel like unless Dak Prescott gets hurt, Andy Dalton is only going to get some snaps during garbage time. So
what you're telling me is you don't think Tony DiNucci is the answer?
I really don't. But I'm thinking if Dak has a down year or something, it's a solid backup.
I'm just I think it's going to be very uncanny valley-like to see a man with that red of hair in a silver and blue uniform. That just doesn't look right, and I'm not even an interior designer. So
you're like the people at Moneyball where they, don't draft him, he's got an ugly girlfriend.
Is that an actual line from Moneyball?
Yeah.
Hey, in the sales world, we used to be able to tell how good of a salesman was by how much better looking his wife was than he was. So there is some truth in that.
That's sadly depressing, but
it's fair.
It's fair. Yeah. Gotta sell yourself.
Yeah, if you can't sell yourself, how you gonna? If you can't sell yourself to a woman, how you gonna sell yourself to people?
Yeah, but like the baseball player says, yeah, he's got an ugly girlfriend. You know what that means? No confidence.
No confidence.
Mm-mm.
I didn't even think about the confidence angle. How about that? So, are there any other off-season moves y'all would like to discuss?
Can't wait for Vegas to open up.
Do you think they're
Stadium's
still
looking
gonna play
real
Vegas
good.
this year? Do you still think they're
Yeah, why
playing
not?
Vegas?
I think that the NFL season could be delayed though,
That's fair.
or the pre is going to be definitely shortened, or something's going to have to happen. Football is not going to happen normally right now. That's just not going to work. Scouts are already complaining that they're missing out on their flying time. Athletes are complaining they're not getting their real gym time. People are losing muscles left and right now because they can't hit their gym. Some people still
Right.
have private gyms that are letting them in the back door, hush hush kind of thing, right? But
Right.
you got to know that there's people out there who aren't doing that. And even if you are going to your private gym, it's not the level of intensity as whenever you meet up with your team during the summertime right now.
Right. Well, I mean, it's hard for you to ever perform at the best level by yourself that you will with others.
Yep. That those coaches come in there to push you without that, that whole doing all those events and everything, autograph signings, get the hype, get the smell, all that new town feel and everything. It's just not happening. So I think there's a lot of issues with it. One of the things that they're talking about, I think it kind of relates here, is that the NHL said, "Hey, we're going to need a warm up time before we go right back into the season," because they said people haven't been running at 100 miles an hour, and then they're going to have to stop on a dime. I think the same thing applies to football. You're expecting these guys to go from 0 to 100.
Kind of everything else, it's pretty easy to do. A lot of basketball players are going to have a hoop. A lot of, baseball, you can go throw in the backyard, or you got like a net or something you can hit into, and a pitching machine. But hockey, I mean, I guess you could rollerblade, but unless you have a rink in your house, which very, 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 very few people I'd imagine would,
Yeah.
you can't really practice.
And that's what they're talking about, is how linemen there's nothing they can do to replicate getting hit.
Right.
I mean, you want to go fall down a staircase?
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can think of is
Go
like
buy a
body
car real
impact.
quick, go stand out in the road.
I went outside the Hummer dealership and got hit.
Yeah. I worked my way up though from the Honda dealership though.
Yeah, you trained, right? So I'm like, it's football's going to have an issue with getting those bodies prepped again.
Yeah.
Yes, the coronavirus has unfortunately delayed in sports indefinitely, and this sucks. This sucks, the big one, and hopefully this gets remedied fast. Well, that's enough COVID talk for one video, and let's get into some of the topics we decided before the episode to talk about. And that first topic being a city somewhere in the United States, or it could be over the borders, who knows, that does not have one of the four major sports. And let's give them a team. And first, I'm going to go with Dealer, and then we're going to go to Cool Hand, and then I'll finish out this segment.
So this one, I don't know. I thought about this one for a little while there, and I want to confirm, when you say the four major, we're talking football, basketball, baseball, and hockey, right?
That's correct.
Okay, good. Well, I want to make sure it was hockey, not soccer. So, because I feel like some people could say that, but I feel like hockey does overrank. Right?
I usually say the five major sports now.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that would change some things up. Yeah. Okay. I mean, yeah, that would be interesting. Because if we're going four, I got to go Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And, if you're saying five, oh, man, that one's a lot. I hadn't even given that one a thought. But You
To
can.
be fair, the MLS team in Austin has not played a game yet.
Oh, okay.
Uh,
But
because of the delay of the season.
yeah, so you could still go Austin in a way, like an asterisk.
You go in a way, but you go different.
Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Well, yeah, I would say that'd be a pretty solid one right there. Would be Austin having a second hockey team, NHL team. I think they could benefit from that, having a little in-state rivalry, having something in the capital with such a massive population of Austin. It's huge. It's unbelievable how they don't have a pro sports team. They flock and fill up the Round Rock baseball stadium and fill it up. You saw how crazy Austin got when UT football was good.
I only went to 10 games last year.
So the city of Austin, they love their sports and they're going to treat it right. So I think you give them a baseball franchise. Oh, that will just even cause more hell from the Houston Astros and everybody. You put a basketball team in there, 4 basketball teams in Texas. Oh, that would be a great rivalry. You already have the Mavs, the Spurs, and the Rockets all shit talking each other pretty much all year long. Now you bring in Austin. I think you would. Think you'd have a really good basketball rivalry in state. So I would like that decision to see that happen. But and football, it's the capital. It is literally the capital of Southern football for Texas football right there.
Look, Austin already has a professional football team. It's called the University of Texas.
When were they last good? When did they have the eye of the football world again? When was that last? Yeah, exactly. But they're still managing to have their own freaking Longhorn Network TV series.
Don't even get me started.
Agreed. Don't get me started on that shit.
So it can just tell you how much they would pump into an Austin NFL team.
Oh, it'd be nice too because you'd have San Antonio as well.
As a basketball?
No, for football. You'd have all the fans from San Antonio as well.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay. Yeah. I can see San Antonio fans coming down to Austin to rep them. And you get Waco fans, all those Baylor people. They pretty much get to choose, do you want to be Austin or Cowboys?
Right.
I think that the whole, I'm a Texas person, that will really get divided once you bring in a team from Austin, Texas.
And, well, Austin, Texas. An interesting choice. Cool Hand, what is your city?
Well, my original thought was Mexico City, but that's a little too broad, I think, for what we're looking for here. Just because it's foreign, you're going to have to deal with a lot of other types of issues. Getting work visas, okay. So I'm going to go with Louisville, Kentucky.
And what teams are you giving them?
I'm giving them a basketball team for sure. What's nice about Louisville is it's right there across from Cincinnati. So I'm going to give them basketball, and I'm going to give them hockey. One, you could play as the same arena. Two, there really isn't a hockey team out in that part of the world. I know there's a team in Nashville, but there's not one in Cincinnati. It's down in the ECHL right now. And it's a big market. It's an expanding market. There's a lot of big companies out there. Anytime you ship a UPS package overnight, it flies through Louisville, Kentucky. It doesn't matter where it's coming from and where it's going. So there's a lot of money there. I just think it'd be a great venue. Plus, with Cincinnati, the great history of Kentucky basketball between University of Kentucky and Louisville, plus Cincinnati, between University of Cincinnati and Xavier. There's just a lot of quality basketball. Heck, they used to have an ABA team, the Kentucky Colonels, way back in the day. So I think Louisville would be a great place to have it. Plus, you have the Kentucky Derby's also out there, so you already have some history of big time, quote unquote, athletic events. I know it's horse racing, but there was a time that horse racing, boxing, and baseball were the three big sports in this country. And I would consider putting a baseball team there because even though Cincinnati's right across the way and the Reds are there, uh, the Louisville Bats actually pretty much sell out every game, and they have a 10, 12,000 person stadium for a minor league stadium. So they actually average more fans than the Miami Marlins. So
Wow.
I'd consider putting a baseball team there, but with the relativeness of the Reds, I mean,
Louis,
I mean, if it's one thing we learned about the MLB is that you can put teams right on top of each other, and fans will still go. Chicago, L.A., New York.
yeah, but those are
So,
also like major populations. While Cincinnati, Louisville is a fairly big population, it's not quite the size of those. I mean, you even have DC and Baltimore.
yeah, you have D.C., Baltimore. Kind of have, you know, I mean,
Even
that
San
would be a little bit
Francisco,
far.
Oakland.
San Fran, Oakland,
I
Padres.
mean, there's a lot of them out there with baseball for sure. And I think the Louisville Bats would be successful, but I think it would hurt the Reds quite a bit to have the.
Who haven't been relevant since the Big Red Machine. So
They won a World Series in 1990. That's still 30 years ago.
yeah, no, but
After they traded for Ken Griffey Jr., they became garbage.
yeah,
But
I didn't consider that we could just add one team to the city. I thought we had to add all the cities to the city, all the teams to the city.
see, I thought it was just one. When it
Yeah,
was just one team, I thought basketball and Louisville would be perfect.
I agree.
The
That'd be a
idea,
good
the
one.
idea. The other would be football in Mexico City.
Ooh, I've heard baseball in Mexico City, but I haven't heard football there. If I got to go football, I would choose Toronto.
Toronto.
Yep, already has basketball, already has hockey, already has baseball. They're right across the. It's a 1.5 hour drive from Buffalo.
And they already play the
So,
Canadian version there. Weird bastards.
and they
Uh,
follow it. There's a cult following for it.
it's true.
You introduce that. If you were to go to any market that is already acceptable, receptive to football, Toronto is proven. Toronto, they have the Hockey Hall of Fame there. So there's going to be fans there during the wintertime. So guarantee you, fans are going to show up to a Toronto game.
I'd probably put baseball on Vancouver. But,
Baseball in Vancouver, huh?
yeah.
Oh, if we're talking foreign, I got to go. I used to say Monterey because I just want to see that elevation change. It's double the elevation height as Coors Field, so that would make Coors Field look like a pitcher's
Two
park.
miles up.
It would be- you
Mile
watch
high,
you ever,
high fields.
yeah, you ever watch those Monterey games? Infield flies just soar all the way out there. It's amazing. And then the dudes who crush the ball really crush it. So yeah, no, I think Monterey would be interesting, but I'm actually leaning more to the Dominican Republic because it's right there by Miami. So I think Dominican Republic would put, and they have the following. So
Right.
yeah, they would definitely benefit a lot. Puerto Rico could too. You could effectively set up a team in Cuba, Dominican, and Puerto Rico and just massively boost a baseball following.
Well, they've already basically said they're going to put a team in Montreal if they expand. So,
Why are we going back? Why are we going back?
as long as you're not playing in an Olympic Stadium, you'll be fine. As long as it's roofed.
Yeah, you're going to have to roof it because, when the Blue Jays have their home opener, it's covered in ice.
I mean,
So
you
you're
can make
if you're going
mistakes like
further
the
north.
Minnesota Twins made. Beautiful field.
Yeah, absolutely
I'm
gorgeous.
sure it's lovely in June and July.
Yeah, we don't want to go there in October though.
Yeah, exactly.
And so to close out this segment, I will give my picks for cities with teams. And I'm going Albuquerque, New Mexico for my first pick, and I'm giving them a baseball team.
I almost went with them.
What?
And in terms of,
What?
I don't know what Albuquerque's mascot would be for their baseball team. I'm thinking bird themed, like a condor or something.
Their minor league team is the Isotopes, actually named after the Simpsons.
Yep.
Alrighty then. Well, Albuquerque, New Mexico. I mean, I don't think we can call.
Mascot is Homer. It's a Disney character. Homer is a Disney character, so it's okay.
It's okay.
Because of course it is. And like I was just going for with the singular team, but since we're doing all four teams, hockey, fuck it, I'll give the Astros one. I mean the fucking Houston, you get to have your hockey team back.
Oh, why?
Look,
CC deserves a hockey team. You shut your mouth.
Oh god, no! Just let him sink off into the ocean. Fuck Houston.
as much as I agree with Dealer, I'm deciding to be a merciful god today. And then basketball, oh fuck, I actually have no fuck. Well, actually no, basketball, give Seattle back their team. Although it has to be, it can't be the Supersonics again. It has to be something else. And then in terms of football, yeah, y'all made really good picks with Mexico City and Toronto, so I'm gonna have to go Toronto as well. And see.
Yeah, let's go.
Let's see, and that's hockey, basketball, baseball, and football. So yeah, that covers it. And that will wrap up this segment of where would you put a team if you could. And now we're gonna move on to our next segment of the absolute worst signings of any of the four major sports. You can do one worst signing, or you can do four of them because of the four major sports. But if it's a worst signing, you gotta talk about it. And this time we're going to Cool Hand first, and then Dealer, and then I'll finish this up as always.
Alright, well, the most obvious worst signing for me of all time, any sport, no doubt, is Howard Hainsworth when he signed with the Redskins. This is 2009. He just came off an 8.5 sack season with the Titans. They went to the playoffs. Next year, he signs a 5-year, $100 million, $41 million guaranteed contract with the Washington Redskins. Shows up late to training camp. And him and Mike Shanahan and the owner, you start getting into it. Oh, by the way, of that $41 million guaranteed, the first $36 million were due in the first 13 months. So 2 years into this 5 years deal is the most expensive defensive player contract in history at the time. He lasted 2 years, had a total of 3.5 sacks, and got rid of him. And he was gone. Picked up a little bit, played a little bit for the Bucks after that, but really just never played again. When we get into baseball, this contract's up there. I'm sure one of y'all will probably say this one too. It's got to be Chris Davis. Oh, Boom Boom Davis.
He's bad.
They're paying him $27 million a year to sit on the bench, and I still think he has $51 million left on that contract. So, or not 51. He has 3 years, I think, left on that deal. So, good fucking luck. He last year, I believe, had the worst statistic year ever for a baseball player. Like the most negative WAR of all time. Basketball, I'm gonna go Chandler Parsons.
Damn you.
2 teams that made that mistake. Did I steal one from you?
Maybe.
I'm sorry. The deal he signed with the Mavs was ridiculous, but then this deal he signed with the Grizzlies is just unbelievable. I don't know how people keep paying that guy all that kinds of money. He's a good player. He just never on the field. And then probably hockey. Stick this one kind of local. I'm going Sean Avery. When the Stars signed him from the Rangers. And he ended up getting cut 3 months in because he told Dion Phaneuf that he hopes his cock tastes good.
Really?
Yeah, that actually happened. That actually happened. This is like 2007, 2008, something like that. Sean Avery was known as, we'll call him an intense guy. But he, that guy was a piece of work. And so he was kind of pissing off the Stars already. And then one day he was talking about Dion Phaneuf, who's dating his ex-girlfriend. And like on national television, he's like, "Yeah, I hope Dion Phaneuf likes the taste of my cock." I was like, well, awesome. And the Stars ended up cutting him within like a week or two after that. Like 3 or 4 months into like a 3 or 4 year.
All right, dealer. What are your examples of horrible, horrible signings?
I'm going to go kind of it's a little sporadic here. Baseball, I'm going to go Albert Pujols. Just with how big of a contract he got for how little he is, This dude's at a way negative WAR. He's getting paid $240 million for a 10-year deal. So, even though you don't get to see Albert Pujols right now, we still get to see Albert Pujols the next year, even if baseball doesn't happen this year, which is great because it just shows you how screwed over the Angels were by doing this guy. They thought he was going to turn into a slugger, but you're paying $30 million for a guy who's hitting just around the Mendoza line. It is awful what Pujols is doing.
His contract only goes up to. That's the best part.
Like, it just keeps going up.
Million, but those first couple years were only like 10. Like the last couple years are like 35.
Negative 15.7 WAR. That is terrible by the Angels. And I'm pretty sure the Cardinals are still after. They're like, oh man, we got outbid by the Angels. What are we going to do? And now they're just kind of like, oh, that was a big mistake. Good job, Angels.
Who's the asshole now?
Next one is going to be NFL, and that's a more obvious one for very obvious reasons, I believe. I think their worst person they decided to sign would be Aaron Hernandez. So I think that one pretty much goes without saying. If you kill people, you're a shithead. So, gone forever, Aaron for Hernandez.
And had to still pay out the guaranteed part of his contract when they cut him.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, God. That's an extra kick in the balls, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that one could have. And, the problem was, like, the Patriots knew that he had issues. People were passing on him. He had high talent, but he had off-field issues. And that's why people were passing on him. And they were like, whatever. Oh, you get what you deserve. So, as for hockey, that one's pretty good with Nikita Zaitsev with the Toronto Maple Leafs. 5 years and he's just unfucking playable. That's terrible in hockey because with some of the other sports you can kind of bury him and forget about him. But with hockey, it really hurts you, especially whenever you're sitting there with the millions of dollars dumped into Nikita like they did. So that's just huge, especially for Toronto. So I think that's pretty upsetting. Basketball, I don't really follow basketball that much, and I don't even really know of a big mistake or anything like that. Don't have one for basketball.
Fair enough, fair enough. I gotta admit, I'm struggling to find an awful signing with hockey. So, tit for tat there. And so, my worst signing is... You could put an asterisk next to this one if this guy's numbers improve, but did Manny Machado really deserve that much money? My mind says no, because his first year with the Padres was nothing like it was with the Dodgers or the Orioles. He was comparable, but not the superstar numbers the Padres were hoping for. So I am predicting that this in the long run is going to be a bad move for the Padres. And then in terms of football, cool hand, you'll be very familiar with this one. The Tony Romo contract. What was it that you said, cool hand? Thanks, Jerry Jones. You've now given me something to talk about for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Well,
on live radio.
Well, it's still true. Tony Romo, I don't know. Everyone says, "Oh, fucking Jason Garrett wasted the fucking Tony Romo and a bunch of elite wide receivers like Des Bryant and such." I'm just thinking to myself, that poor offensive line, all that protection and nothing to show for it. So yeah, Tony Romo, bad idea. And then basketball. Well, you took my Chandler Parsons one, so. Oh, fuck, I'm kind of thinking on the spot here. What is something that basketball team did recently, it has to be recent, that just makes you go, why?
LeBron.
No, he's putting up career numbers this season.
He's still playing well.
Oh, wait, I got it. DeMarcus Cousins, being
there you go.
being signed by the Los Angeles Lakers. I mean, this guy is clearly a ring chaser at this point. He made that abundantly clear with his move to Golden State, and he must have some inside sources, because I don't remember. Did he sign with the Lakers before or after the AD trade was finally made? After? Okay, well that's clearly a ring chasing move. And then yeah, he got hurt again, and then the Lakers waived him. He was like, "Nah, we're done with your bullshit." So yeah, hockey, I don't know, any move made by the Arizona Coyotes, I don't mean to throw shade, but
How about just the move from Winnipeg to Arizona in first place?
I mean, I think Winnipeg got the better end of that deal, so with the Jets being as successful as they are. So, yeah, that's all I got for this segment. And so, we will finish out the show with one last segment, and rules. We love them, we hate them, we want to see some come back, and we want to see some removed. So for this next segment, we are each going to take a rule of any sport, bring it back, and then we're going to have to also remove a rule that's currently in place. I shall start this one, and then we'll go to Cool Hand, and then Dealer will bring us home. Mine is going to be quick. Basketball. You're not allowed to essentially land on a shooter when they're shooting. In fact, you can't even put your hand up against them to maybe steer them a different direction if they want to go a certain way. This is called the hand check rule, and the NBA should 100% bring it back. As for a rule that should be removed, the step back three is somehow not traveling. It is traveling, and it should be called like traveling. So,
Look, James Harden's allowed to take 8 steps if he wants to.
Look, if I wanted to see a show about a guy traveling, I'd watch
Anthony Bourdain.
Yes, that is definitely a show I have watched. So, so to summarize, bring back the hand check rule and remove the rule that allows the step back three to be a non-traveling thing. I hate that shit. So, that's it for me. Cool Hand. What's a rule you want to bring back, and what's a rule you want to remove?
The rule I'd love to bring back is they call it the Buster Posey rule, basically. I think you should be allowed to hit the catcher. They're all padded up. I know it's dangerous and all that crap, and kind of ruined Buster Posey's and Ray Fosse's career. But there's just something about a play at the plate. The excitement, like, oh, this is going to be great. Something crazy is about to happen. I'd really like to bring that rule back, where you can hit the catcher. The other one,
That's good.
The other one, it's kind of along the same lines, but it's football related. I either want them to do one or two things. I either want them to get rid of all the kickoff stipulations, or just start them on the 25. The kickoff has turned into a joke. It's not even really part of football anymore. There's no reason to have it if it's going to start on the 25 basically every time anyways. Let's just skip that whole unnecessary step and let's just start it all.
All right, bringing back the excitement to the kickoffs. I personally hate it whenever the opposing team kicks, and then the guy catches it, kneels, and then we immediately go to a commercial break. It's bullshit.
Just a waste of time. Let's just get that stuff.
Wow.
All right, and Dealer, bring us home.
I'm actually going to go to hockey for what to remove, and I would like to see them remove the goalie restrictions on movement. So they actually have how far the goalie can go out now to protect the goalie, and I think it's kind of dumb. I really do. I think that, like, if the goalie wants to be an idiot or go out there and play the puck, let him, Let him out behind his crease and everything. I mean, we already saw that amazing moment happen where a Zamboni driver had to play goalie because Jason Mrazek was an idiot and wanted to go play the puck at, like, almost the blue line. So, yeah, if you want to be an idiot, let him go out there behind, I think it's good to let the goalie have the movement. If you want to let the goalie skate down the rink with the puck, let it happen. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should be restricting that. So that's one of the things I like. I think it brings a lot more excitement.
Was removing the Marty Brodeur lines.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you got to remove those. And if goalie wants to take it down, he sees an opportunity where he can skate. The team got a bad change, and he wants to hustle his butt down the line. Give the puck off to a teammate and let him take advantage of that. Sure. You're up 4-0 end of the season. You want to go fool around? Sure. Be punished. I don't care. Let them. Don't restrict the player or the game. It's natural. I think that some of the most exciting things happen when you let the players be their idiots. So, yeah, and as for something that I want to see brought back, baseball players used to be allowed to leave their gloves on the field at their position, and it would save time on the players running out there, or at least leave it on like the side of the field. And initially, they just dropped it right there at shortstop. So if you're playing shortstop, strike three, sweet, drop your glove, walk out into the dugout. And then people started tripping over it, and foul balls started to happen off of them, and it caused chaos. And even in rare situations, the glove would actually be enough open, or it would flop open, and the ball would literally ride into the glove, and the player had to pull it out of the glove and throw the person out. And I thought that would be really exciting. As time moved on, they ended up telling people, hey, just keep it on the foul lines. And you would hit a ball, it would hit the gloves and bounce really wacky right into the field of play. I think that'd be funny to see. Maybe not at the position. I could see how that could be a big tripping hazard, but let them put it on the lines.
Gloves on the line. The proposal by Dealer. Well, folks, that is going to do it here for us at the Backyard Bullshit Podcast. We are so thrilled to welcome back Dealer into the fold. Dealer, it was great having you today. And for myself, Mickey, and Cool Hand, thank y'all for listening to our episode of the Backyard Bullshit Podcast, Coronavirus Edition number 2. Cool Hand, sign us off, and then Dealer, I'll let you have the last word.
Thank you guys for listening. Y'all have a great time. Be safe out there. Look forward to hopefully start doing some public shows.
Yeah, thanks guys for listening, and don't buy that cheap flight to North Korea. It's not worth it.